Hello dear RBI Grade B aspirants and welcome to EduTab. So guys, we've started this series to cover all the chapters for your preparation for RBI Grade B Phase 1 exam for English language in the year 2026. The purpose of this series is to basically provide you free content for your preparation if you're preparing on your own, and this is to help you in your journey ahead to see what topics are important, how to cover, what are the important concepts of those chapters, and then what should be understood in every chapter. So guys, this will help you in your preparation and in your journey ahead, and this will definitely guide you in the right direction. But if you want to prepare on your own speed, and if you need all the practice material and all the support system that everyone needs for their preparation, now you can enroll in our courses and you can join us and streamline your preparation. The link for our courses is although given in the description of the video, but let me show you a very simple way of going about it. Now guys, you just need to visit your browser and type edutap.in. आप अपने browser पे जाइए और type करिए edutap.in and press enter, and you will land on our home page. Now this is our home page. Now you'll see all the courses that we offer available to you. Now the first tab is RBI Grade B courses. Now click on this and you'll be redirected to our RBI Grade B page. Now you'll see the courses available to you. We have test series for phase 1 and phase 2, and then we have a silver course for only phase 2 preparation. But this is a one-stop solution for all your needs. Now guys, this is the gold course for your RBI Grade B preparation. It includes everything from phase 1 to phase 2 to interview preparation, everything that you need from the very scratch. So it encompasses live classes for all the subjects for phase 1 as well as phase 2, concept classes in recorded forms, concept notes, summary sheets, mock tests, current affair magazines, solved previous year questions, chapter wise test for every subject, sectional mock test for both the phases, current affairs mock test, and then full length test for both the phases. So this is a one-stop solution for all your needs. And guys, we are offering special discount on these courses. You can use the coupon codes available here and you can avail the benefits of these courses. So guys, come join us, streamline your preparation. And guys, now let's begin with the chapter on working hard. So in this lecture, we'll be covering a new topic today, which is subject verb agreement fitted from it. So let's come back to the topic, guys. The topic we'll be covering today is subject verb agreement. Guys, if you remember from the previous lecture, what we did was the basics of grammar, the 8 categories. Remember the story I told you, the 8 categories of English grammar, English language. So there are different parts of speech: noun, verb, adverb, adjective, pronoun, conjunction, preposition, articles, right? So we covered every component of that, and many of you found it very useful. Now following through after that, we covered structure of sentences. What we did was 99% sentences follow a normal sequence, a universal sequence, which is subject, verb, and then object. I told you subject is not the doer of the action, subject is the owner of the sentence, remember, and object is the additional information in the sentence part. So after that, now we have understood which word falls under which part of speech, right? And then we understood how do we use these words to create a sentence. Now in normal sentences, we start with the subject followed by verb and then the object, but in interrogative and demonstrative sentences, the sequence deviates a little. In interrogative sentences, helping verb is used before the subject, and in demonstrative sentences, where we use this, that, these, those, there, here, or it. Now these sentences, they are demonstrative sentences. In these sentences, you have to look for the subject in the in the further part of the sentence. So these are the 3 components, 3 structure of sentences that you need to remember. As of now, I'll tell you more when we progress in the in the videos, in the parts, in the upcoming chapters. But today we need to build up the first and the foremost part of this, which is subject verb agreement. So what is subject verb agreement? Remember guys, now subject is the owner of the sentence, जिसके लिए कोई सेंटेंस बनाया गया है, जिसके लिए कोई सेंटेंस क्रिएट किया गया है. So for the word, for the noun or pronoun for which the sentence has been created, now that is called the subject of the sentence, and it is followed by verb, right? So basically subject, or the owner of the sentence, is followed by verb. Now what do we understand by the word agreement here? Now, what is the agreement? Do you remember there were two gangs in the story? One gang was noun, so subject is always a noun or a pronoun. Remember, and the other part, the other gang member was the other gang leader was verb. So there is always a conflict between the two. Remember the story. So the story continues now. So you will learn the English with the help of the story. So the honor of the sentence, the subject of the sentence is the honor of the sentence. It is always a noun or a pronoun, and it is followed by a verb. Now there has always been a conflict between the two gang members, remember? So there has to be an agreement to make them work together. So what is the agreement that needs to be created? What is the agreement that needs to be put forward? Now the agreement says, now what is agreement? It's basically, you know, when two parties come together and they reconcile their conflicts and then they accept to work together. So what was the agreement that was created between the two? Well, let me give you a keynote, and it's a universal rule, guys. Now this is a rule which is, you know, very rarely, very rarely, not followed in any of the cases, but 99.9999% sentences this rule is followed. And this is the agreement that we were talking about. What is the agreement? If the subject of a sentence, I mean the honor of the sentence, the noun or the pronoun, if the subject of a sentence is singular, if the subject of a sentence is singular, the verb must also be kept singular. Right? And if the subject of a sentence, I mean the honor of a sentence is plural. Now, if the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. Now, this one rule is called your subject verb agreement, और we have been following this all along. हमने बचपन से ये rule follow किया है. Guys, देखना हम रोहित के साथ क्या लगाते हैं? Is, और boys के साथ are. क्यों? Because Rohit is singular and boys are plural. Simple, right? What do we use with India? India is or India are? India is. But what do we use with Indians? Are. Why? Because India is a singular noun and Indians is a plural noun. So please remember, guys, from today onwards, we need to understand, we need to focus on we need to look for the subject first. That is why it is called the honor of the sentence. So always, whenever you read, write, or listen to a sentence, or whenever you speak or say a sentence, right, you have to remember the importance of subject in the sentence. Now you always identify what is the subject in the sentence, and then check if the verb is in accordance with the subject or not. So if the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular, and if the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. That is what is called सब्जेक्ट वर्ब एग्रीमेंट. सब्जेक्ट वर्ब एग्रीमेंट क्या कहता है कि अगर किसी सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट सिंगुलर होगा तो उसकी वर्ब भी क्या होनी चाहिए? सिंगुलर होनी चाहिए. और अगर किसी सेंटेंस का सब्जेक्ट प्लूरल होगा तो उसकी वर्ब भी क्या होनी चाहिए? प्लूरल होनी चाहिए. एंड देयर इज नो एक्सेप्शन टू दिस रूल. As far as I know, in normal sentences, there is no exception to this rule. But yes, there are a few scenarios which might confuse you along the way. So that, those concepts I'll teach you in the chapter. But broad rule that you need to follow every time is you locate the subject, you follow the verb, and the verb must be in agreement with the subject. So if you remember this one rule, this will eliminate 50% of your mistakes in your English language. Please remember this, guys. If you remember this rule, this will eliminate 50% of the mistakes that you've been making all your life. It will eliminate all those mistakes and you will be able to control and command your sentences. So always follow this rule. This is the most absolute rule of English language. This is the first rule and the foremost rule to be followed. We have been taught this rule, but in a very ambiguous manner. Now we need to be very clear in our understanding of the sentences that it doesn't work in any way. It works in a specific way, in a specific manner. The verb has to agree with the subject, not the other way around. Please remember this, guys. Honor of the sentence is subject. So verb has to be in accordance with the honor, I mean the subject of the sentence, not the other way around. We can't say if the verb is plural, the subject can also be made plural. No. If the subject is plural, then only the verb will be plural. If the subject is singular, the verb will be singular. तो आपको सब्जेक्ट देख के वर्ब डिसाइड करना है, ना कि वर्ब देख के सब्जेक्ट डिसाइड करना है. राइट? सो प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस, गाइस. नाउ देयर आर अ फ्यू what do we say, exceptions, or there are some scenarios where you might get confused that, sir, what verb should we use here? And those scenarios I'll discuss with you in the lecture, but this is what you need to remember for now, and you need to keep it in your mind. The more you practice it consciously, the better it is going to get. So what you do is, when you read newspapers, follow the subject in every sentence, look if the verb is in accordance, and you will see, yes, it reinforces your confidence for the for your understanding. Now let's come to the part which might confuse you. Now, first of all, guys, now the first basic problem is, I've seen many students struggling with this. If I say Rohit, now what should I use? Rohit play or Rohit plays? You can answer me in the chat box, guys. Yes, guys, Rohit play or Rohit plays cricket? That is my first question to you. And on the other hand, if I ask you, what do we say? Boys play cricket or boys plays cricket? I've seen many students, countless students struggling with this concept. Yes, guys. So Rohit play or Rohit plays cricket, and boys play or boys play cricket? What do we say? Now the guys, now I'll explain it to you. How do we decide it? Now guys, it basically depends on first person, second person, and third person. Now first person we assume is, now guys, we have been taught all along that first person is I and we, remember, but this doesn't function in the singularity or plurality of the way. So in this concept, I'll just tell you, only I is the first person. Now second person, you have to remember, all the plurals will fall into second person. Now all the plurals, what do I mean by plurals? We, you, they, or any plural word, for example, boys, girls, citizens, countries, anyone, anything, any plural word or any plural pronoun or noun will fall into the second person. And third person is all the singulars. Now what are all the rest of the singulars? He, she, it, or any singular word, for example, boy, Rohit, Reena, Geeta, girl, India. So any singular word will fall into the third person category. Now how do we define, now how do we decide which which person will take which verb? Now guys, this rule only applies when we are using the first form of verb with the subject. Now after subject, whenever you have to use first form of verb, remember guys, first form, not second form or third form. This rule applies after subject without any helping verb, without is, am, are, without will, shall. When you have to use first form of verb after the subject, what do? We follow this rule. Now first person will always take first form of verb. For example, I play cricket, I drive a car, I eat vegetarian food. So with first person, that means with I, we use only first form of verb. With plurals, what do we use? With plurals also we use first form of verb. For example, I play cricket, but in second person, we play cricket, you play cricket, they play cricket, boys play cricket, girls play cricket. I drive a car, we drive, you drive, they drive, boys drive, girls drive. I eat, we eat, you eat, they eat, people eat, boys eat, girls eat. So with plurals also we use first form of verb. But in singulars, in singular noun and with singular nouns and pronouns, with first form of verb, you also have to add s, es or ies with the verb to make it a singular verb. So with singular, what do we say? We don't say he play cricket, we say he plays cricket, right? He drives or she drives or Rohit drives or Reena drives a car. My friend eats, because my friend is singular, my friend eats non-vegetarian food. He eats, she eats, Rohit eats, Reena eats. So in singular verbs, in singular nouns and with singular nouns and pronouns, in first form of verb, we have to add s, es or ies to make it singular. Now, why did I write s, es or ies? For example, guys, I do my work diligently. We do our work diligently. You do your work. They do their work. People do their work. But for singular, he does his work. She does her work. Rohit does his work. Right? So, do becomes does with singular. That's why I said es. Now ies, I cry, I try, or whatever you want to say. I cry, we cry, you cry, they cry, people cry. But he cries, she cries, Rohit cries. So we also add ies into the verb. So you have to remember the concept. With singular nouns and pronouns, we need to add ses, ies with the verb to make it look singular. So this is the part that many students get confused with. For example, I go to work by bus. We go to work by bus. They go to work by bus. People go to work by bus. But he goes. She goes to her work. Yeah. Rohit goes to his work by bus. So go becomes goes. Do becomes does. How do we follow that? If the subject, if the noun is singular and we are using first form of verb with it, if the noun is or pronoun is singular, we have to add ses, ies into the verb. So this answers your question. Rohit plays cricket, but boys play cricket. Now, why is that? Because Rohit is singular and boys are plural. So with singular noun, when we are using first form of verb, we have to add s into it. But for plural and for first person I, we do not add anything into the verb. So this is one peculiar rule that you need to remember if you want to learn the concept, if you want to learn this chapter properly in a proper manner. This is the first concept that you need to remember. Although many of you might say, sir, in books it is written that first person is I and we, second person is you, third person is he, she, they, but it's a lot of it's very confusing because I follow different kind of rules, we follow different kind of verbs, different kind of rules. So what I've done is I've segregated them in a different manner, in a new manner, which will help you to retain, remember all the rules properly. This will also help you in tenses. Remember, see, I am is only used with I, right? But we are, you are, they are, boys are, they all follow the same verb. He is, she is, it is, boy is, Rohit is, they all follow the same verb. But I follows a special kind of verb with it. So I has a separate set of rules. So that is why I've separated it with the others. I've segregated them and I've put together on the basis of their functionality, on their practical usage, not on the theoretical part that has been taught to you in your books all along. What I've done is I've changed it in a way that you'll be able to remember in a practical and in a very efficient manner. So from today onwards, first person is only I, second person all the plurals, and third person all the singulars. Right? So guys, thumbs up in the chat box if you've understood this concept. The first concept that I have taught you, this is a keynote. This is not the concept. This is a keynote. Although it can be called a concept or maybe a rule, but I've taught you in a very generic manner that you need to remember it on your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day manner. Now let's come to the concepts that you need to learn for subject verb agreement. Now guys, first rule, as I told you, a verb agrees with its subject in person and in number. Now, what they mean by this is subject will decide the verb. If the subject is singular, the verb will be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb will be plural. Now, for example, they is plural, so they will not use doesn't. They will use do not. So they does not understand, they do not understand. They do not understand what to do. For example, as I told you, see guys, there are many confusing situations. For example, what do we use with people? People is or people are? People are. Why? Because people as a noun is a plural noun, right? But now my next question is, what do we use with crowd? Now there are multiple people, numerous people in a crowd. But what do we use with crowd? We use is. Why? Because you need to remember, crowd as a noun, as a word, it's a singular word. It's a collective noun. So crowd means collection of people, right? That becomes a crowd. So it's a singular noun. So that is why it takes a singular verb. Whereas people, on the other hand, it's a plural noun. It's plural of person. So plural of person is people, and being a plural noun, it takes a plural verb. So such situations might confuse you sometimes, but you need to remember now, you don't just use number, counting the number of people in the word that will decide the verb. No, the word will decide the verb itself. And this I will teach you in the next lecture, which noun is singular and which noun is plural. We will do that in the next lecture, next chapter itself, nouns, right? But today you need to understand, identify the word. If it is singular, it will take a singular verb, and if it is plural, it will take a plural verb. Got it? For example, guys, spectators. What will be used with spectators? Spectators is plural, so spectators are cheering their team. Whereas if I say the other word, audience. Now, what is audience? Audience is basically collection of all the spectators in one single word. So the audience is cheering for their team. So it depends on the noun if it is going to take a singular verb, and it depends on the noun if it is going, whether it is going to take a plural verb. So from today onwards, what you need to do, identify. Now first and the foremost rule is identify the subject. Identify the subject in every sentence that you come across and decide the verb accordingly. Identify the subject and decide the verb accordingly. Accordingly in the means it has to be in agreement with the subject of the sentence. Absolutely, in every sentence that you come across. So what you need to do from today onwards, the first rule, identify the subject and look at the verb if it is in agreement with the, if it is used accordingly, according to the subject or not. And how do you decide that? Look at the noun that is given to you. Do not look at the, the number of people or entities in the noun. So if I say India, now India is a country which has 140 crore people, but India as a noun is a singular noun, whereas Indians as a noun is a plural noun. Got my point? So you need to understand, see, there are multiple players. Remember, I'll give you more such example. Players is plural, so players will take a plural verb, whereas all these players constitute a team. Now the team, it is going to take a singular verb. Now for example, employees. Now employees is a plural word. There are multiple employees in a company, so employees are. But if I constitute all the employees into staff, now the staff is a collective noun, it's a singular word, it will take a singular verb. So you need to decide the verb according to the word, according to the subject of the sentence, right? And then decide your verb accordingly. So the first rule, as I told you earlier, the subject will decide the verb in a sentence. That's rule number one. Got it? Now rule number two, guys, you also need to understand how to identify the subject. Now guys, you must understand, see, let's look at the example. The theme of the essay are the experiences of our heroes. Now what is the subject here in the sentence? The theme, essay, experiences, or heroes. Now you'll not be able to decide it just by reading the sentence. So you need to understand and analyze the sentence. What are we referring to here? See, the theme of the essay. The theme of the essay, what was the theme? The theme was experiences of our heroes. So the subject here is theme, and as I told you, subject, you will find the subject in the initial part of the sentence. Remember the first structure I told you, the universal structure. What did the structure say? The sentence begins with the subject. But now there are scenarios when they'll try to confuse you by using of. Now guys, please remember, whenever you see the word of, you see the word of used between two nouns, always remember the noun before the word, before the preposition of, is the subject of the sentence. I'll give you some example. For example, the rise of Mughals. Now the question is, was or were recorded around 500 AD, for example. So see guys, the rise of Mughals was recorded, were recorded around 500 AD. See, now we are talking about Mughals or the rise of Mughals. You see the word of, always remember the noun before it is the subject. So the rise is the subject here. So the rise of Mughals was recorded around 500 AD. Next question guys, for example, the rules of the game, the rules of the sport are quite confusing. The rules of this sport, bolo, anything. The rules of this sport is quite confusing, are quite confusing. Now the question here is, now what is the subject here? Sport or rules. Now you see the word of, the noun before that is the subject. So the rules of this sport is quite confusing, are quite confusing, are quite confusing. So what you need to understand is you will find the subject in the initial stages of the sentence. And if you see two nouns, right? If you see two nouns and there is usage of preposition of between the nouns, always remember the noun before of is the subject of the sentence, and that will decide the verb. For example, guys, the population of Indians is growing, yeah, are growing, I mean exponentially. Now the subject here is Indians or population. You see the word of, subject is population. Population being a singular noun will take a singular verb. The population of Indians. For example, the next question, guys, next example, the residents of the locality. The residents of the locality have lodged a complaint against whatever you want to complete it. Have lodged a complaint against the whatever you say, have lodged a complaint against the unruly noise in during the night. So the subject here is not locality, subject here is residents. So the residents, not has, residents have lodged a complaint against the loud noise at night. So guys, you need to understand the subject has to be identified clearly in the initial stages of the sentence, and then you decide the verb accordingly, right? So if you find the preposition of between two nouns, always look at the noun before of, and that will be the subject, and that will decide the verb of the sentence. That's concept number 2. Let's move to next concept, guys. Now guys, let me give you a simple example. She, together with her friends, has gone or have gone to the market, to the mall, for example. So she, together with her friends. Now if you start counting in a numerical way, you will always get confused. What you see is she, right, and together with her friends. So that makes it multiple people together, right? And it seems like the verb should be plural, but to your surprise, the verb used here will be has, not have. So I'll just explain the concept to you. Now for example, let me take another example. India, along with its friendly nations. India, along with its friendly nations, has approached, have approached UNO regarding whatever, I mean UNO regarding the mistreatment, ill treatment of minorities in such blah blah blah, whatever the sentence is. Now you look at the sentence, India along with its friendly nations. Now it seems like India together with some friendly nations, right? So it seems there are multiple nations here, multiple countries here. No, the subject will still be has, singular. You know why? Please remember this. Now please understand the concept, guys. There is only one conjunction. Remember conjunctions, the words which used to connect two sentences or two words in a sentence. So there is only, please listen to the concept very clearly, guys. There is only one conjunction in English language that can create two subjects in a sentence. There is only one, I'll repeat the rule. There is only one word, only one conjunction in English language that can create two subjects in a sentence, and that conjunction is only and. This is only one word which can make two subjects in a sentence, that is and. So if now the rule says if two nouns are connected using and, that is when we will assume that both the nouns are subjects in the sentence. So now in this sentence, India and its friendly nations. Now there are two subjects in a sentence. Now the verb will be have approached UNO regarding the mistreatment or ill treatment of minorities in such countries. So India and its friendly nations. There is only one conjunction in English language that can create two subjects in a sentence, and that conjunction is and. There is no other conjunction that can create two subjects in a sentence. So that is the concept. Now in any other conjunction, for example, together with, along with, the second sentence, the second the noun used after the conjunction is not the subject. The only subject is the noun or pronoun used at the beginning of the sentence. So the second noun is not considered the subject, and the verb will be decided according to the first sentence only, right? So if I say the prime minister along with the or let's we have already used along with. Let's change this. The prime minister with the cabinet members. The prime minister with the cabinet ministers was present, yeah, were present in the meeting. If you look at it, present in Delhi. Okay, let's keep it short and simple. So the prime minister with the cabinet ministers. It seems like there are multiple people we are talking about here, but look at the conjunction with. So that means cabinet ministers is not going to be the subject. The only subject here is the prime minister. Prime minister with singular will take a singular verb. But in the same sentence, the prime minister and the cabinet members. The prime minister and the cabinet members was or were present in the meeting, or were present in Delhi. Now we see the conjunction used here is and. Now this is 1 plus 1. So that makes it 2, plural, and that is where it is going to take a plural verb. So if the rule is, if two nouns are joined using and, they are considered two subjects and they take a plural verb. But if any other conjunction is used except and, the second noun is not considered the subject. The verb is decided only by looking at the first noun. And if the first noun is singular, the verb will be singular. And if the first noun is plural, the verb will be plural. That is the concept. So पूरी English language में दो nouns को subject बनाने की ability सिर्फ किसके पास होती है guys? And के पास. There is only one word which is and, which has the ability to create two subjects in a sentence, and that conjunction is and. Right? Very good, guys. So this is, I think, a new concept that you've learned today. Now guys, see, instead of teaching you this rule, I've already taught you the concept. Now this is another rule. This you will find in the books, but instead of remembering or cramming all other conjunctions like with, together with, as well as, including, besides, no less than, in addition to, accompanied by, not, and there are multiple other conjunctions, but you only need to remember one word, which is and. So there is only one word in English language that can create two subjects in a sentence, and that conjunction is and. No other conjunction can create two subjects in a sentence. Can you remember that? Answer me in the chat box, guys. Yes or no? Can you remember this rule? So the rule says any other conjunction like with, together with, along with, as well as, including, this will not affect the form of verb. For example, the teacher together with her pupils were there. No, the teacher together with her pupils. So that means the second noun is not the subject. The only subject here is the teacher was there. The teacher along with the students. The coach along with the players. For example, the foreign minister along with his associates has traveled or have traveled to United Kingdom for the next meeting. So such sentences are asked to you in the exam, and if you do not control the subject of a sentence, you tend to make mistakes. So from today onwards, rule number, the most important concept, there is only one conjunction in English language that can create two subjects, and that is and. There is no other conjunction that can create two subjects in English language. Please remember this, guys. Right? Have you understood the concept? If you're liking the session, guys, if you are finding it useful, please don't forget to press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're here for the first time. All right, guys, next rule. Now, this I told you earlier as well. If two nouns are connected using of, always look at the noun which falls to the left of. For example, the number of noun in phrase introduced by the preposition of does not affect the number of verb. For example, a list of books were made by Mary, or a list of books was made by Mary. I told you, if you find two nouns connected using and, always look at the noun before of, and that is the subject of the sentence. So the subject here was a list. See, the books were not made by Mary. A list of books was made by Mary. So the Mary did not make any books. Mary made a list of those books. So the subject here is list. So you'll find many such examples. For example, guys, this kind of clothes, yes guys, is very expensive, are very expensive. Please tell me your first instinct, guys. Yes guys, what should be the answer here? This kind of clothes is very expensive or are very expensive? No, probably your first instinct is are, right? But the subject here will be kind, this kind of clothes. So the kind is the singular entity and it will take a singular verb. Got it? So there are numerous such examples. For example, the mob of angry protesters. The mob of angry protesters. What is mob? People who are protesting or people who are revolting against institution or the government. So the mob of angry protesters have ordered for closing the shops. Now, if you look at this, now if you see, many of you will say that the mob of angry protesters have ordered, but the subject here is not protesters. The subject here is mob. So the mob of angry protesters has ordered for closing of the shops. That is how we create a sentence. So if you find two nouns connected using of, always look at the noun before of. That will be the subject and that will decide the verb. Got it, guys? So I think I've already introduced this to you earlier in a previous concept, and you also need to focus on the on the subject. Again, reiterating the same thing. Focus on the subject, identify the subject, right, and then decide your verb. Very crucial topic, very crucial rules. Okay. All right, guys. Next question. If two nouns are connected using or nor. For example, if two nouns are connected using or nor. For example, a doctor or a nurse. Now, they will take a singular verb. For example, the judge nor the lawyer has understood or have understood the issue at hand. So, the judge nor the lawyer or nor the advocate has understood the criticality of the case. So, if two nouns are connected using only or and nor, the verb will remain singular. But if two nouns are connected using either or, neither, nor. Now, here I was talking about only or nor. Now I'm talking about either or neither nor. Now in either or and neither nor, there is a situation which you need to understand. Now guys, in either or and neither nor, whichever noun is closer to the verb will decide the verb. For example, neither Deepak nor his friends. Now, which noun is closer to the verb? Deepak or friends? Now, the verb here is are. Why? Because neither Deepak nor his friends is joining the tour, or are joining the tour. So, you need to remember whichever noun is closer to the verb will decide the verb. Because, see, in either or and neither nor, these are probability conjunctions. What is probability? See, either Rohit or Reena, which means either one of them, not both. Either one of them, neither India nor Russia. This means neither one. So neither one or either one. So when two nouns are connected using either or and neither nor, whichever noun is closer to the verb will decide the verb. And similarly for not only and but also as well. So either or, neither nor, and third pair of conjunction is not only but also. For example, neither Deepak nor his friends. Which noun is closer to the verb friends? It will take a plural verb. Now if we reverse it, neither his friends nor Deepak. Now which noun is closer to the verb? Deepak. It will take a singular verb. For example, not only the students but also the teacher are learning. No. Why? Because the noun closer to the verb is teacher. So it should take a singular verb. So the correct sentence should be not only the students but also the teacher is learning. If we reverse the situation, not only the teacher but also the students. Now it would be are learning. So in either or, neither nor, and not only but also. Now in these three pairs you need to remember whichever noun is closer to the verb will decide the verb. Got it? So only in or and nor, because or and nor are only used for two singular entities, right? So they always take a singular verb. But if we are using either or and neither nor, now we need to look at the noun which is closer to the verb, and that noun will decide the verb. Got the rule, guys? So it's a quite an old rule, but it sometimes confuses the students. So either the party members or the party leader have to resign or has to resign. Listen to it carefully, guys. Either the party members or the party leader. Now the noun closer to the verb is leader. So the party leader has to resign. If we reverse the situation, either the party leader or the party members. Now the members is closer to the verb, have to resign. Thumbs up, guys, if you understood the concept. And if you're liking the lecture up till here, do not forget to like the session and subscribe to the channel. Next rule, guys. Now this is a very important rule. Guys, please write down these 12 words. Which words are these? Each, everyone, everybody, everything, someone, somebody, something, no one, nobody, nothing. Each, everyone, everybody, someone, somebody, no one, nobody, anyone, anybody, anything. Now beyond that, one, any, and every. Now guys, you need to remember these words from today onwards. Now the rule is, if any of these words is at the beginning of the sentence, इनमें से कोई भी word अगर किसी sentence की starting में आ जाए, if any of these words is at the beginning of a sentence, please remember the verb will always be singular. Please, I'm writing it down for you. The verb will always be singular. Verb will always be what? Singular. There is no chance that the verb can be plural at all. You know why? Because these words, they were created to insinuate singularity. They were created to present singularity in the sentence. What is the meaning of the word each? Hindi mein pratek, everyone, harek, everybody, not bodies, body, everything, not things, someone, one, somebody, body, not bodies, something, not things, everyone, everybody, no one, nobody, nothing, anyone, anybody, anything, one, any, and every. Now these words are basically created to insinuate singularity, to present singularity in the sentence. And when we use these words, they will always take a singular verb. For example, guys, now each employee arrives on time. Everything is in order. Now guys, remember the rule. If these words are at the beginning of a sentence, the verb will always be singular. Now, just for example, one of my friend are going abroad, is going abroad. What do we say, guys? One of my friend is going abroad or one of my friend are going abroad? Now we say one of my friend is going abroad, right? Why? Because it's one of them. But another mistake, please remember this guys, another mistake that we make. Now guys, this is rule. If these words are followed by of, the following noun, यहाँ पे हमने जो friend लिखा है, the noun friend, here is wrong. It should be friends. And we generally make this mistake in our day-to-day lives. Right? Yes or no? Please answer me if you're being honest. Please answer me in the chat box. Do you make this mistake or not? Yes or no? One of my friend is going abroad. One of my colleague is absent. One of my roommate is not well. One of my roommate or one of my roommates. See, why do we say one of my friends? Because see, if I say one of my friend, so what does it mean by one out of one friend? It should be one out of many friends, right? So बहुतों में से एक friend, मेरे दोस्त बहुत हैं, उनमें से एक दोस्त abroad जा रहा है. So what are we trying to say? I have many friends, but one of those friends is going abroad. So we can't use one of my friend is going abroad. Each of the each of the member or each of the members of the committee, each of the members of the committee, so see, it has to be not members, was present in the meeting. So each of the members of the committee, and the verb will always be singular. Now this rule applies when these words are followed by of. But if we do not use of, if the preposition of is not used, then the noun will remain singular. For example, any human being, not beings, see, we are not using of here. So any human being can do this. Yeah, any human being can tell this is wrong. कोई भी इंसान ये कह सकता है कि ये गलत है. So any human being, not beings, any human being, every person, not persons. See, when we are not using of, then the noun will be singular. But if we use of with these words, then the following noun has to be plural because you are choosing one individual out of many. So of is basically used for choice out of many. So every person has a moral responsibility. Every person has moral responsibility or responsibilities, let's say. Every person has moral responsibilities. When we do not use of, the noun used here is singular. The verb will always be singular. That is not in question here, right? But what do you need to remember is, if these words are followed by of, the following noun will be plural. The verb will always remain singular. If of is not used with these words, then the noun will also remain singular, right? So everything is in order. Every one of the students has arrived. No one of the players was able to score a goal. No one of the player, nahi, no one, we don't say no one of the player. We say no one of the players could score a goal in the match. So no one. If we use of, the following noun will be plural, but the verb will remain singular. And if we do not use of, then the noun will also remain singular and the verb is always singular. So these words, you need to remember these words, guys. They are crucial words. If any of these words is at the beginning of a sentence, the verb will always be singular. There is no exception to this rule. Even if we use and, still, see, for example, each staff member and each board member was present in the meeting. If we are using each, even if you use and here, please remember this, guys. See, I told you there is only one conjunction that can create two subjects in a sentence, right? Which is and. But this rule supersedes the rule of and. So if even if and is used with these words, the verb will still be singular. So each family member and each what do you say? Each family member and each friend, or every friend was present at his funeral. So if these words are used at at the beginning of a sentence, the verb shall always be singular. You need to remember that. Coming to the next rule, guys. Now this is the opposite rule of the previous of the previous rule that I just told you. Now remember these words, guys. Some, all, none, part, majority, remainder, percentage. Now, what do I mean by percentage? The percentage that we use in mathematics, 10% or 20% or 30%. This is what I'm talking about. Fraction, again, fraction, I'm talking about what we use in mathematics. For example, 1/3 or let's say 2/3, right? So, if such fractions are used, so sum, all, none, part, majority, remainder, percentage, fraction, most, and rest. Now, if these words are used at the beginning of a sentence, now please remember, guys, now you have to be very careful. For example, guys, see, have you seen the movie Three Idiots? Have you heard of the song All Is Well? Now, although, what do we understand by the word all? All says everyone, right? So we assume that all will always be plural, right? But no. See, guys, some we feel that some, sorry, it should be plural, right? Some, because we're talking about some, it must be plural, but wrong. Some of the food was left or were left. What do you say now, guys? Some of the food was left or were left? Some of the food was left. All of the work is done or are done? All of the work is done. Now, why is? Because the noun which is used after these words is singular. So these words, they are non-finite pronouns. Why do we call them non-finite? Because they cannot decide if they are singular or if they are plural. They have to depend on the noun for which they are used. For example, none of the players. None of the players. Now, if the noun is plural now, none of the players was or were absent. None of the players. Now, if the noun is plural, the verb will be plural. So what is special about these words? If these words are used at the beginning of a sentence, you have to look at the next noun. If the next noun is singular, the verb will be singular. If the next noun is plural, the verb will be plural. Now, guys, this is the only exception where I tell you. Remember, I told you whenever you see off, you have to look at the noun before off. But if with these words, this is the exception. With these words, you have to look at the noun after off, because these words cannot decide if they are singular or plural. For example, part of the spectators has left or have left the stadium. So part of the spectators has left or have left. Now the noun used is plural, the verb will be plural. Majority of the countries. Now, if I say countries, what do we use? Is or are? And if I say majority of the world, now what do we use? Is or are? Is or are on our side. Okay, on our side. Yeah, right. So majority of the countries are on our side, majority of the world is on our side. So these words, they decide the verb according to the noun which is followed after it. So this is the exceptional words. For example, 10% of the land, 10% of the land was acquired by the government. Whereas if I say 10% of the cases is still pending, या are still pending. 10% of the cases are still pending in the courts. So guys, you have to decide 10% of the land was, whereas 10% of the cases are. So it depends on the noun, on the following noun after these words. Similarly, 1/3 of the area is under forest cover. 1/3 of the citizens are unhappy with the result. Most of us have given our consent. Yes, guys, क्या आना चाहिए? What should be the answer? Most of us have given our consent or has given our consent. Most of us is plural, have given our consent. Rest of the what do I say? Rest of the jury. Okay, Jury is a singular noun. Rest of the jury is, yeah, are not decisive in their decisions. So rest of the jury being a singular noun, will take a singular verb. So these are the words which when followed by a noun, the following noun will decide the verb. तो इन वर्ड्स के साथ क्या होता है गाइस कि ये खुद कभी वर्ब डिसाइड नहीं कर पाते, क्योंकि नॉन फाइनाइट वर्ब्स होते हैं, धोखेबाज वर्ड्स होते हैं, ये आगे वाले नाउन पे डिपेंड करते हैं. तो इन वर्ड्स के साथ कौन से सम, ऑल, नन, पार्ट, मेजॉरिटी, रिमाइंडर, परसेंटेज, फ्रैक्शन, मोस्ट एंड रेस्ट, 3-4 बार आप पढ़ोगे याद होने लग जाएंगे. ठीक है, इनके साथ क्या ध्यान रखना है, आगे वाला नाउन देख के वर्ब डिसाइड करनी है. क्लियर है गाइस? चलिए, नेक्स्ट रूल गाइज, वेरी peculiar rule, a number of and the number of. Now guys, usually we do not focus on such phrases, but from today onwards we have to. Now guys, the rule says if a sentence begins with a number of, it will always take a plural verb, and if the sentence begins with the number of, it will always take a singular verb. Why? A refers to a random number, whereas the refers to a specific number, and that number is singular in English mathematics. So for example, a number of students has appeared or have appeared. A number of students have appeared today. कि बहुत सारे बच्चे आज अपीयर हुए हैं. So a number of will always take a plural verb, whereas the number of students appearing today is or are 20,000. Yes guys, the number of students appearing today is 20,000 या are 20,000. Now the number is a specific number. Here we will use a singular verb. So the expression says a number of will always take a plural verb, whereas the number of, if a sentence begins with the number of, it will always take a singular verb. For example, the number of students in the class are limited, or the number of students in the class is limited. But a number of books is on reserved या are on reserved in the library. So this is a very peculiar rule which we generally overlook or overread. But this the number of, this sometimes, we skip this in our head and we make the mistakes. So the number of will always take a singular verb, whereas a number of will always take a plural verb. So the number of takes a singular verb and a number of takes a plural verb. In any scenario, a number of COVID cases were registered in December 2020. Again, the number of COVID cases registered in 2020 were around 30,000. So the number of cases recorded around the number of malaria cases is increasing or are increasing in the area. The number of malaria cases is increasing in the area, not are increasing. This is where we tend to make mistakes. So be very careful with such expressions. And now this is a very simple rule. If a sentence begins with there, this is a demonstrative sentence. Remember guys, I taught you this, that, there, here, this, these, those. So these are demonstrative sentences. So this is a demonstrative word. Now in demonstrative we use it to demonstrate something. So if a sentence begins with there, there cannot decide the verb. Look at the next noun. There is someone at the door. There are a few boys standing at the door. There is no one. No one यहाँ is किसके वजह से है? Now why are we using is here? Because of no one. Remember, no one is a singular word. I taught you in rule number 7. There is no one in the room. There are times when she is lonely. There are 6 school days in a week. There was someone at the door. So how do we decide the verb in a sentence that begins with there? Now you have to look at the noun, the first noun that falls after after there. The first noun will decide which verb to be used here. There was someone at the door. There was no one at the door. There were many students in the park. There are many vehicles on the road. There is no one on the road. So this is a demonstrative sentence, and if a sentence begins with there, now move to right and locate the first noun. The first noun will decide the verb of the sentence. So whenever a sentence begins with with there, look at the next noun to decide the verb. So these are some important rules that I wanted to share with you. This is again another concept that I taught you at the beginning of the lecture. Remember, the verb adds SES or IES when we are using it for third person singular of the present tense. For example, Raman Lloyd plays football. She works really hard. Remember I told you this. So first person and second person, they only use first form of verb. For example, they play cricket, you work diligently. But for singular nouns and pronouns, we have to add S, ES with singular nouns or pronouns. We have to add, and when we are using, this rule applies only using first form of verb, not second or third. So with first form of verb, we have to add S, ES or IES into the verb. Alright guys, so again I'm reminding you, this is a very important concept. You will find it very useful when you are practicing your questions in this. So guys, that was it for your lecture. Now, what is the keynote of the lecture? Always identify the subject and then the verb, and verb should agree with the subject. That is the main rule of the of this concept of this topic. Now there are exceptions which we have shared with you. Number one, the verb, if we are using off, always look at the noun left to off, right? Then we saw the word conjunction and. There is only one conjunction in English language that can make two subjects in a sentence, and that is and. Any other conjunction, do not look at the second noun, only look at the first noun. With or and nor, only or and nor, the verb will always be singular, but with either or, neither, nor, and not only, but also, then you look at the noun closer to the verb and then decide the verb. Now, with words like each, everyone, everybody, someone, somebody, no one, nobody, anyone, anybody, the verb will always be singular. But with words like some, all, none, part, majority, remainder, percentage, fraction, most, and rest, the verb is decided by the noun which is used after after these words. Then we studied about some particular expressions like a number of and the number of. A number of will always take a plural verb, whereas the number of will always take a singular verb. And last we saw that if a sentence begins with there, you look at the next noun to decide the verb. Now guys, now I'm giving you the previous year questions of the last 5-6 years, maybe 6-7 years, as many questions I found. Now you have to answer these questions in the comment section of the video. So this is a question from 2022. Now you can pause the video, read the question, answer in the comment section of the video. Okay, so this is one question from 2022. This is another question from 2022 itself. So you can again pause the video, look at the sentence, find the error, and give me the answer in the comment section of the video. Now this is third question from the year 2021. There were 3 sentences and we had to find which of the statements had was incorrect. So there might be other questions here, but there is subject verb agreement here. Now this is another question from 2018. Now you can pause the video here again and look at the sentence. Now this is another question from 2018. You can again pause the video, look at the question and answer in the comment section. And this is another question from 2018. So these are the questions that I found in your previous year questions. So just try to attempt them and let's see if you are able to find the errors in this. For example, the numbers of acres destroyed by the wildfires has increased dramatically over the past several years. You remember the expression the number of. So if you remember the number of, what verb should be followed here? Now you can answer that in the chat box in the comment section of the. So guys, I hope you've understood each and every component of this chapter, and I hope this will help you in your preparation and in your journey ahead. So do leave a comment in the comment section of the video, and do let us know your experience about these videos, and do share if we can improve them by any means. Guys, if you wish to join us now, if you've understood the quality that we provide, the content that we have in our courses, so if you wish to join us in our courses, there is a very simple way of going about it, and we are offering special discounts on our courses. Now guys, what you have to do is, although the link is given in the description of the video for our courses, but I'll show you a very simple way of going about it. You just have to visit your browser, any browser, Google or any browser that you have, and just type edutap.in, edutap, edutap.in, and just press enter and you'll land on our home page. You'll see all the courses available to you here. Just click on the RBI Grade B courses and you'll see all the courses for RBI Grade B available to you. Now guys, we have a test series for phase 1 plus phase 2 as well as special test series for phase 2. So this is for those aspirants who are done with their preparation. But if you are starting with your preparation now you have your silver course for phase 2 plus interview preparation. You have your live classes, concept notes, summary sheets, mock tests and interview sessions for only phase 2, only for phase 2 and interview. But guys, if you're starting out from the from the very beginning, this is what you need. Gold course. This includes everything for your phase 1 as well as phase 2 plus your interview. So it includes all the live classes, concept notes, summary sheets, mock tests, current affair magazine, solved PYQs, chapter wise mock test, sectional test, current affairs mock test, full length test, interview preparation, and everything that you need to prepare for your exam, along with your doubt and query resolution. All your queries are resolved within 24 hours. So we are offering special discounts on these courses. Come explore your discounts, join us and streamline your preparation with us. And if you face any difficulty, any challenges regarding anything at all, please feel free to call us on this number, which is 8146207241 on your screen, or you can also drop us an email at hello@edutab.co.in. So guys, we wish you all the very best for your preparation. Keep on working hard, keep on giving your best, and I'm sure you will come out with flying colors. So have a good day and happy learning to all of you.